10 seconds.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Mr. Bonet. Welcome, Councilor Reyes.
Thank you.
Hello.
John, I'll take your cue. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, March 8th, 2021 meeting of the Personnel Committee of the Lawrence City Council. This evening, we will be entertaining two agenda items. I'm going to take them a bit out of order. No, I'm not going to take them out of order. But before we get to that, I want to read the legal information, and we will then the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will move on to committee business. The legal business. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the City of Lawrence's City Council Personnel Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for by these orders. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may do so by using the information provided on the agenda, both the City Council Facebook page as well as its YouTube page. With that, I would like to take a moment to a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And I would ask, take this moment for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I do see that we do have minutes here. I will entertain any motions you may have. The minutes I show prepared are August 24th, 2020, November 16th, 2020, as well as February 1st, 2021. If there are no motions, we can settle them at another meeting.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion to approve these three sets of agenda items, and it's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Clerk Halloran, I ask that you take the roll call, please.
Roll call for approval of minutes from August 24th, 2020, November 26th, 2020, and February 21st, 2021. Did I get that right, the last one?
You cut out a bit there. August 24th,
Oh, August
2020.
24th.
November 16th, 2020,
November
and
16th.
February 1st, 2021.
Okay. Roll call. Councilor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
and Chairman David Abdu.
Chair votes yes,
Thank
4-0. This evening, let's see, I am looking for Mr. Mendez. All right. We'll move on to tabled item number 1021, the permanent appointment of the city clerk position for the city of Lawrence. I want to welcome this evening. We have candidates in attendance. Ronald Azu. Did I say that correctly, sir?
That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Erica Hernandez. Good evening, Ms. Hernandez.
Good evening.
Ms. Damaris Ruiz. There you
Hi.
are. Hey, good evening. And Adrian Velasquez, who is not present. So I would like to, first of all, welcome the candidates here this evening. And before we get to the process of interviews, I would like to thank the members of this committee that has spent time with these candidates, and to the Personnel Committee for the time that they took and its director, Frank Bonet, took to work with these candidates and do the appropriate screening of resumes to get us to this point today. What I would like to do now is ask Mr. Bonet, if he would, to set the table of sorts and answer any questions the members may have. And at that point, I am going to entertain the candidates in alphabetical order by first name, since there's no other fair way to do this. So, Mr. Bonet, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be present. Frank Bonet, Personnel Director, 33 Dartmouth Street. As you know, last Personnel Committee meeting that we had last week, not too long ago, maybe about 3 or 4 days ago, we had sent down 4 names as the semifinalists for the position of the vacant position of City Clerk for the City of Lawrence. Since then, one of the individuals has withdrawn from the process. So Mr. Adrian Velasquez has withdrawn. So I guess the statistics are better for the other 3 candidates now, that there is only 3 candidates, which was the original number that the Personnel Committee had requested that we send down on names. I just like to remind everyone that I think the position is still open, posted, because it says open until filled. So, from here, the interview was to send the 3 semifinalists to the Personnel Committee, and the Personnel Committee would interview, and they would decide whether to send the City Council or not any of the candidates. And so from there, as your packets had indicated last week, there were a lot of interviews, over 250 applicants. I think it was 283, if I'm not mistaken. 243 applied through Indeed.com. Another 50 applied through the City of Lawrence. Since then, another 2 applicants have applied. We've taken down the Indeed posting, but it's still on the website because it is open until filled. Other than that, I am available to ask any questions of the process. Answer any questions of the process, the candidates. If not, you may interview. It's an open meeting, and they were instructed that their documents, the resume and applications will become public. It's open to the public as a public records as well. And it would become public for this meeting as well.
Mr. Bonet, thank you, sir. And I would ask, are there questions of any of the members of the Personnel Committee at this time of Mr. Bonet before we proceed with our guests this evening?
Mr. Bonet,
Yes,
what have a score? Yes, Council President.
No, I acknowledge you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Mr. Bonet, you have a score 1 through 5. Should we be using those scores as each question that are being answered?
So a very great question. Thank you for asking that one. So the packets do have some supporting documentations for you to use. And there's 2 manners that you can use. Let me just remind everyone where we were at quite a number of years when we were interviewing for the city attorney's position, and we used scores. And I guess around this time, we decided that we would not use scores. And so we sent 3 candidates down that the initial interviewing committee decided were the 3 top candidates by a show of vote. The document that's before you, which is a rating scale, you can use in 2 ways. You can use by fair, good, excellent, superior, and you can make a hand vote, and this all depends on the committee. You can make a hand vote of which candidate you would like to proceed forward, or you could use the numbers right beside those right besides those ratings to provide some sort of score that would help you determine who are your top 1, 2, and 3. So we haven't determined, I don't think this committee determined how they would be scoring going forward, but it's a good question, and that would be up for the chairman, Abdu, and the committee to decide how they want to proceed forward.
Thank you, Mr. Bonet. Ms. Dela Cruz, did you have further questions of Mr. Bonet?
No, but I really like, I would like to propose that we do the superior, excellent, good, fair, poor of the questions that we think at the end we should select the candidate that we would like according to that score, instead of the number 1 through 5.
Is
It's just
there,
a proposal. I would like to hear other comments.
Well, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
The question is, are we going to use the superior, excellent, good, fair, poor way to score, or we're going to use 1 through 5? According to Mr. Bonet, using the first score that I mentioned by superior, excellent, good, fair, poor, I think we individually can make a decision at the end and using that kind of scale.
Okay, so, I mean, this is evaluation form. And we can use as the word terminology as the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I don't know what the others counselor might think, but if you go like superior, that let's say that's number 5. Excellent can be number 4, good 3, fair 4, and poor 1. So we don't have to change the format. If the rest of the council are okay with it.
The thing is that will guide us to find out who is number 1, who is number 2, and who is number 3 in an easy way. Otherwise, either one of the two scales are good. We just have to pick one of them.
and so I would suggest, in the interest of, out of respect for the time for the candidates here this evening and counselors' personal preferences, that you can consider the numerical scale from poor to superior 1 through 5 respectively. And I would do so individually. And at the end of this session, after we interview these 3 candidates and we begin discussion, that I believe was agreed upon last week, that we would send, multiple candidates forward. And at that time, they could be ranked, i.e. person A, person B, person C, and then a numerical system can be subjective, and where there's 3 of us, you certainly should use it individually, I think, but at the end of the day, we've got 3 candidates, and the choice could be to send them up without a recommendation, send all 3 up ranked, send 1 up. I will leave that to you. I don't have the opportunity to make a motion, so I will leave that to the 3 of you at that time. Councilor Gonzalez, sir.
I would like to support Ms. Reyes with poor, fair, good, excellent, superior, like you say, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would like to do it this way. Just the qualification, the good, fair, poor, fair, good, excellent, superior. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Makes sense for me. I don't know. Your decision, Chair.
I'm going to use these scoring charts, and I would suggest we all do, and
Yes, sir.
score them the way you see fit, so that at the end of this process, we can make a recommendation, however which way the membership of this committee wishes to send it forward for next week.
Thank you.
So is everyone, we all good? Does everyone understand we are using the scoring sheets? You may use the poor, fair, good, and excellent, and superior to get yourself to a rank. And then we will discuss the three candidates at the end. Hearing no further questions, comments, or concerns. I would like to just quickly introduce ourselves to the candidates this evening. We are joined by, again, Mr. Ronald Azu, Esquire. Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Erica Hernandez and Damaris Ruiz. I am Dave Abdu. I am a district city councilor and chair of this committee. I am joined this evening by my colleagues, the vice president of the city council, Estela Reyes, my at-large colleague, Selena Reyes, as well as my fellow district councilor, Maria de la Cruz, from Prospect Hill. I would also note that we are supported this evening by our clerk of this committee, the clerk of this committee, Maria Halloran, and we thank her for her efforts through this process. And I want to recognize John, who's behind the American flag, making all of this virtual work here. You'll also notice Mark LaPlante, he's our council president and is available. He is making himself available for this meeting as well. Some ground rules. So first of all, thank you all for joining us in this virtual platform. Obviously, after 11 and a half months, I think we're all getting used to it. Mr. Gonzalez, did you have a question?
No, please.
Okay, sorry. So after 11 and a half months, you think I'd get used to this. So please bear with us. If you have any technological problems, please, we will bear with you. If your Wi-Fi goes out, whatever the case may be, we want you to have the opportunity to answer questions posed by each one of the members to your fullest extent. Yes, with that, the plan is we will interview the three of you. And at the conclusion of the three interviews, at this time, it is the plan of this committee to immediately maybe take like a 2 or 3 minute break, and we will then come back and begin discussing what this committee wants to do with respect to a recommendation to the full city council, which meets for the last time in March, next Tuesday, the 16th. So with that, I would ask, again, having no fair way to do this, we'll do it alphabetically by first name, and that would be Damaris Ruiz, and then Eric Hernandez, and then Ron Azu last, Ronald Azu. My apologies.
Not at all.
So, again, before I turn to you, Ms. Ruiz, I just want to note again what's obvious, and that is this is public. Your information is redacted for the public record. However, as you can see here, we are televised, and that is part of doing business in the public sector. So I want to thank you all for submitting yourself to this process. And I want to thank you all for wanting to be the solution to the city clerk's position here in the city of Lawrence, a position that often is held for many, many years. And so one of you, we would anticipate being our city clerk, and we would hope it would be our city clerk for quite a long time. So with that, Ms. Ruiz, I'm going to ask each candidate to just introduce themselves, and my question will be, I'll pose it to you, but please introduce yourself and then tell us, my first question will be is, why do you want to be the next permanent city clerk for the city of Lawrence? Ms. Ruiz, the floor is yours, please.
Good evening. My name is Damaris Ruiz. I've been working for the city of Lawrence for almost 20 years. And I think that it would be a great opportunity for me to be the city clerk because I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience in that office.
Thank you. And before we proceed with colleagues' questions, did you have any questions of us regarding this evening's process?
No.
Okay, thank you. Are there counselors that have questions for Ms. Ruiz? I would turn to Madam Vice President. I will ask you if you would to go first.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the first question to thank you, Mrs. Reed, for applying for that position, even though we know that you are city employee. And the question that I might gonna be asking to all the candidates is going to be the same question, but we have to do all the questions. So my first question too is going to be, can you describe your approach to recording and maintain a large amount of data?
Would that be city council wise or just in general?
Just in general.
I mean, there's several ways that I can do it depending on what task I'm asked to do. So there's different types of Excel files you can keep. There's Access files you can keep. It all depends on what is to do.
So let's concentrate in the city clerk position.
Yes. So what is the question again?
Can you describe your approach to recording and maintaining a large amount of data?
Again, like I said, it would depend on what I would be storing.
Okay. Can you share an example where you effectively prepared ordinance for record and distribution a purpose? Reveal the work style, acknowledge it, applicable to the law.
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. So let me just change this question. Can you tell me about what time when you successfully communicate official information to the public?
Depends on what, like I said, it depends on what it is. If it's a city council meeting that's going to be published, or it would depend on the time frame. So if there's a meeting for the next following Tuesday, like today I posted, there's a city council meeting next Tuesday, items have to be in by Thursday by noontime. If it's a public notice, then as soon as I get a public notice for another meeting, they stamp it, scan it, and post it right on the website.
What factors do you consider when preparing a meeting agenda and packets of information? What is the factor that you consider when you are preparing the meeting agenda and the packets of informations?
I mean, I start by putting things together as soon as I get items to add, if it's either a public hearing or documents that come in from a different department, from like ordinance or personnel, budget and finance. So it's usually I start preparing as they come in. So like I already started adding the public hearings for next week. And then as soon as I get the documents for every other meeting, I would add them as they come in.
What you have done lately to improve your acknowledgement and understanding of the city clerk position?
I've trained myself a lot. I've learned different things that I've never done before, as acting city clerk, I had to go in through files, try to figure out how to do certain things, and a lot of self-taught.
Okay. Provide an experience in which your research information in the municipal archive and for public official of the citizen.
Can you repeat that?
Provide an experience in which your research information in the municipal for public official of citizens.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, so I have no more question for Mrs. Bree.
Thank you. Councilor De La Cruz, would you like to ask some questions?
Yes, I have my question. Thank you, Council President. My question number one, Damaris, nice to meet you. Thank you for doing what you do for our city. I'm Maria De La Cruz, City Councilor for District 8. I like to work very close with the city clerks. Then I wish that we can get somebody as soon as possible. My first question is, as you know, election day machines get broken. There are needs to call Boston. How will you build a good relationship with Mr. Galvin's office? What are you doing? What can you do to build that relationship with the Galvin's office?
Well, when it comes to voting machines, we have a specific company that does the repairs. So if something is happening, we would definitely give them a call, but we would actually make sure that the machines are up and running good before the election comes in. So if there has to be repairs to be done beforehand, we will have them ready. And obviously, I'm not too familiar with the elections office, but as I would go in, I would get more training in that office. And of course, I would introduce myself to the Secretary of State, and I would have a good communication with them.
My next question, are you willing to take the lower salary and getting 2% increment yearly until you reach the maximum of 3 years?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little more?
I would do it fairly with the city, knowing the knowledge that I have working for the city for so long. I would definitely come to a compromise with them.
Okay. My next question is, are you willing to sacrifice your family to move to our city?
Yes, I have lived in Lawrence before, so that's something that is definitely doable.
My next question is, are you ready to upgrade that office? Not only the physical appearance, I also think that technology, people today, they don't use money. They don't use coins anymore. Then we need electronics ways to communicate with that office. Are you willing to do all of that?
Yes, we are already in the process of getting things online with Citizen Serve. Business certificates are already on there, and we've already submitted all the documents that we need to add vital records, to add dog licenses, to add different kinds of permits that we do in the office. So people can do online purchases and facilitate, especially with the credit cards that people need to do, like even if they're out of state, it's just an easy way of just applying for a birth certificate and getting it in the mail and not have to have too much of a hassle.
We have complained in the community that when they go to that office, to the city clerk's office, and they don't have cash with them, that they cannot use electronic way of paying. Then that is a big concern for our community because of the way the money is being used today. Most people have debit cards.
Correct.
Then we would like to see that office having that transformation.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Ms. Damaris, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dela Cruz. This time I will move to Councilor Reyes. Councilor Reyes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilor Adu, but I don't have any question.
Okay. Councilor Gonzalez, sir, the ladies went first on Women's Day, International Women's Day. And
Thank you. Finally, somebody recognizes us. I was waiting.
got my pink tie on, and that was the moment to say, the gentleman can go last.
Thank you.
Well, not for good. Don't. Only for today.
Okay, the floor is yours, Mr. Gonzalez, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Damari, good evening. Who I have?
We're with Damaris Ruiz.
No, I see a gentleman there.
That's me? Not yet.
Yes.
Hello.
Well, like you say, you've been in the city hall for a while. I just started in the city council, but as an ex-city councilor, I worked with the other city clerk many years. I'm not going to tell you how many years because I'm not that too old. But this, that's all the questions that been my colleagues been asking. That was my concern. The first concern, the people complaining they cannot pay with debit card, and we need to move our city forward. And I think you can do it. And the experience that you've been in the city for a while, you had experience. And the only concern, the candidate, were all of them, because the city rules that you need to live in the city. And you already answered to Mr. De La Cruz that you have no problem to move to the city. I like that. If we decided to, 9 councilors to give you the job, I know the experience you have because I've been in the city. With the pandemic, you haven't seen me in the city hall, but I'm here in the city for 50 years. And I will make my decision to who we got to decide it. But I don't have no question. I heard all the questions that they asked you, and I feel comfortable with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Gonzalez, you won't be asking any questions of the candidate.
No, I've been working around her for not as a city councilor, but as a citizen, and I know the experience you have. I know I've been reading all the paperwork, and I've been familiar with the city for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ruiz, I will start and I will finish. And before I do want to note, it was pointed out by my colleague, Ms. Dela Cruz, I did not recognize Mr. Gonzalez at the beginning of the meeting, and my apologies to those, to you, Mr. Gonzalez, to those candidates.
That's what I say.
Mr. Gonzalez is my district colleague from District C, and my apologies for the oversight. Ms. Ruiz, the elections division is as we all know, a very important department of the city clerk's office. There's many roles the city clerk plays. Elections is, in my humble opinion, probably the most important because it is it's a year-round. It's establishing the elections calendar like we voted on last week. and preparing for elections, making sure technology is up to date, and then obviously executing a plan on primary day and then on the general election day. What do you feel? Describe, if you will, your experience with elections, and I'll leave that in a very open way that I'm going to ask all three candidates. What is your experience with elections and your observation of the elections process, and how comfortable would you feel being the chief elections officer on election day, the most important day of the political small p calendar in the city in any given year?
Yes, I think it will definitely be a learning process. I am not familiar with elections, the elections department too much, but I did see the former city clerk and assistant work around election time, making phone calls, making sure everything was up to date, being there hours and hours on election day. So I feel confident that I can learn, because I definitely need to learn. I need training, but it's something that I can definitely, moving forward, I can learn and understand. I think anybody that has never had an election background would be new to this and would not know exactly how it works. But with the proper training, I'm sure that anyone or myself can learn and do a good job at it.
Thank you. Do you feel comfortable with? Don't expect anyone in this call to have a working familiarity with the Mass General laws relative to elections, but do you feel comfortable being able to interpret those laws and apply them to the satisfaction of the Secretary of State each year?
I think so. I think if I put myself to read the laws and learn and like I said, get training on that, I would feel confident.
Thank you. With that, what on your resume, and I will close with this question, what on your resume do you believe provided you the experience or formal education that best speaks to your ability to be the next city clerk?
I think overall, the experience that I've been working in that office for 10 years. I've learned pretty much almost everything in that office. I've been doing the assistant work since July of last year. Even though I wasn't the assistant, but I was doing stuff that the assistant used to do. And now I'm acting. So now I'm doing stuff that I didn't do before. So my knowledge of that office is superior to anyone. I'm the last person there. Everybody else has either retired or has left, and I've gained a lot of knowledge in that office. So I feel very confident that I can continue on and learn and be the next city clerk.
Thank you for that. And before we move on to the next candidate, would you have any closing comments that you would like to provide to the committee on your behalf?
Pretty much, like I said, I feel very confident that I can do this job, and I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to work hard, and I've been doing it, so I'm eager to keep going. And yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for making yourself available this evening. Thank you for your thoughtful questions. And we will now proceed with the other candidates. This is a public meeting. You are welcome to stay with us. And again, towards the end of the meeting, we will be discussing the position and next steps.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time this evening. The next person moving from letter D to letter E, Eric Hernandez. I welcome you this evening and thank you for your time in consideration of making yourself a candidate to be the next city council clerk for the city of Lawrence. It's been a long day. My apologies. But thank you. That's what I'm trying to say is thank you. And I'm going to ask you the same way I did the last candidate, if you would, please introduce yourself to us. And then you can move directly into telling us an answer to my first question, which is, why do you want to be the next city clerk for the city of Lawrence? So with that, the floor is yours, Ms. Hernandez.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for having me and granting me this opportunity. My name is Erica Hernandez. I want to first say how excited I am for this potential opportunity. One of the ideas that thrill me about being the city clerk is being the record keeper to our city's history and our future history. I think that piece of the role excites me. The fact that I would be able to witness history and scribe it down on record. And that's one of the roles in this position that really calls my attention. Also the changes that I can bring to the city, not only as a worker of the community, but also as a member of the community. I lived in Lawrence most of my life. I had the opportunity to leave Lawrence at some point, and now I decided to come back to the community. I've been here for the past 6 years, and just knowing that I can give my skills and attributes to this community and help it move forward is something that does really bring a lot of great pleasure to me. So extremely excited about what this position means to Lawrence and to myself.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer. And with that, as will be the practice this evening, I'm going to turn to the Council Vice President, Mrs. Stella Reyes. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mrs. Hernandez. And welcome, and also for apply to be part of our city and work the city as you has mentioned it. So my first question, which was the same question, can you describe your approach to recording and maintaining a large amount of data?
I think the approach is one of the things that we can definitely take advantage of is that technology is so advanced. How can we get technology working for us? And so there are different ways that you can record data depending on what the scenario is, to Ms. Ree's point, right? So if, nowadays, obviously, as long as you have public consent, you can record meetings in order to gather data. There are other ways to maintain meetings. I know that you guys have a 100% paper system. So I think one of the ways that we will be able to really advance data, it's really now exploring ways to digitalizing data. And that can be a way that we can really maximize the type of data that we are managing and recording. So that needs to be one of the most predominant things that I would look into in order to make data gathering more successful and efficient. So how can we get technology to really leverage off with the data recording?
Thank you. So my next question, can you tell me about a time when you successfully communicated official information to the public?
I think on any given day, I can be communicating official information to the public. It really depends. I'm a HUD certified counselor, so I have to be very careful with the type of information I do share with the community. constantly with everything that's happened. My background is currently housing, so everything that's happening in the housing world, especially post-moratorium, I have to be extremely on point with the type of data that's being trickled down, and then I have to really assess this data and then make it more friendly to the public. So it really depends. It could be through an info session that I'm hosting. It could be just as a public announcement due to an immediate need with all these crises that we have going on in the community. I can't really tell you when was the last time that I put something out there, but I'm constantly circulating information to the community, our partners. It really depends on the sensitivity of the data that we are trying to communicate with those throughout the community of Lawrence. So any given day, I could be playing the role of communicator, which is crucially important.
What you have done lately to improve your knowledge and understanding of the city clerk position?
I did some research. Research on like what does this position really entail. I remember listening to those that interviewed me during the previous conversation, knowing that technology is definitely an area where the city clerk could be doing more. I started doing research of what other cities like Lawrence, and example Springfield, which is another gateway community, what they're doing in order to provide more accessible data resources. It sounds like the office already started heading in that direction. I think what, based on what I learned and based on my experience, I'm really good at fostering relationships, and also seeing, because I'm really good at fostering a relationship with our city sister Springfield, and seeing how they've been successful within the last 6 years since they started utilizing vital records as one way of getting records out to the public digitally and making record more accessible to the community. I also saw what it inquires to, what I would need in order to get certified to be a municipal clerk, and what are the national industry standards. And there's just so much, but I've been doing my research just to really make sure this is not just a job, this is the right fit. I want to be able to be the best candidate and be the most impactful candidate to this position. And the only way that made sense was by doing the research on what this position really means to the community. And I see it's crucially, it's a key position. So research was definitely done prior to this meeting in ways that I can probably explore how I can bring this city clerk position to the next level, bring us back to 2021, right? So how can we get up to date? Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. So my last question to you will be, how will you go about ensuring that the city is compliant with all elections laws, regulation, and standard that were applicable to your department or the city?
It's important to educate myself, really do the research. One of the things that I have in my background is that even though it hasn't been around compliance around election, I'm always looking at what are the state laws around a lot of the things that I work with, whether it's housing, whether it's zoning, whether it is, just rights overall. So the fact that I love researching, I like to get the information. I know how to navigate the state websites. I know how to look for the appropriate resources when I need to get information. It's also, it has to also do with getting the adequate training. I currently do teach a law class, even though I'm not an attorney. I teach tenants' rights in the state of Massachusetts. It's a law class for landlords. I have, part of my job is around policy. So this wouldn't be something too different to some of the work that I do, because it all does require research and educating yourself and being up to date with what are the current policies. I know they're just looking at the way that these meetings are conducted. Policies are constantly changing, especially under this pandemic. So just being on top of what are those changes as we move forward. Did that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Yes,
Mrs.
it did. It did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, question.
Council, Madam Vice President, thank you for your questions. Appreciate it. Moving on, Councilor Reyes, I do realize you are here as a visitor. I do apologize about earlier, but we're glad to have you tonight. Councilor Dela Cruz, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Erica. Nice to see you growing in our community. Thank you for giving yourself this opportunity to grow more and more and more.
Absolutely.
My question number one will be, I heard that you live in the city, right? You live in our city.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in the city?
You know, combined, my family has been here nearly 24 years. I had the opportunity to leave for college, explore a different city, but it wasn't my city. So I came back to the city that I want to give back to. So my community. So in the past 6 years, post-college, I've been residing in this community intentionally.
Yes, we see you working very hard here. Erica, are you ready to upgrade that office? Not only the physical appearance, you know, I think we have to bring that office up to the year 2021, and also to the technology of paying by cards. I'm very concerned about that because people are complaining about it.
Absolutely. I think, not that I think, I was doing research on how other communities have approached this issue. You know, obviously there has to be connections amongst other cities across, other offices within the city hall. I was seeing how the treasurer's office in some communities, along with the IT office, is working along with the city clerk to, you know, just improve the way that, you know, they're receiving payments and they're able to streamline things in a more digital fashion. So that's something I'm definitely open to. And, you know, when it comes to the physical appearance of the office, I know it's important not just to have an amazing front desk. It starts all the way at the back of the office, right? So even though physically the walls don't change, if we can change the way that, you know, we conduct business, that can also already start creating the change. Educating people beforehand, if right now the barrier is being able to pay things through debit card, what can I do while we figure out other alternative solutions? What can be done is educate the community about these are the best methods now until we get the methods that we need for payment options. But in the meantime, letting the community know beforehand, making sure the communication's there, you know, about what are their options until we get to that point of being able to streamline payments in a more efficient way. So
my deep concern is that if I go there in a wheelchair, I don't think anybody will be able to look at me because that office is not the physical way that it is not allowing people within the handicapped population to be able to not even a sit for customers to sit down there. It's no sit. If you are short, you can hardly see the counter. And I think that needed to be changed. We need to have the accessibility to all kind of people. Then I hope to see those changes very soon. My next question is, as you know, election day machines get broken. There are needs to call Boston to come the same day, not after, because it's election day. How will you build a good relationship with Mr. Galvin's office in Boston?
I think not, and I keep saying I think it's been a long day, but I'm a firm believer that it's important to foster relationships. And not only foster those relationships at the point of needing something, you know? So not wait to the day of to have a an introduction to Mr. Foster, if that's his name, if I heard you correctly. You know, start building those relationships beforehand, creating that profile. I'm really good at escalating things, but it's also important who you know. So one of the things that I would do, I know election is one of the top priorities of this position, is knowing who my allies are beforehand. Because if I do hit that wall, I need to know who I can confidently call, whether it's the machine that's not working, whether it's a volunteer or a staff member that's not showing up on that day. I need to know what I count with. So I will definitely be making those type of assessments beforehand. I'm a critical thinker. I don't like to wait for things to happen. I like to forecast what are the possibilities and strategize depending on that. So.
Okay, Erica, thank you very much. Thank you. And I do know you for a long time, more than 10 years. And thank you for being.
More than 15. I was still in high school.
Yes. Oh my, I'm
Yeah.
still young. Thank you for this opportunity to come in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mr. La Cruz.
Thank you.
Thank you. From District A to Prospect Hill. And now we will head to District C. Mr. Gonzalez, sir, your questions for Ms. Hernandez.
One sec, I'm here. Mr. Hernandez, you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez. Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? I'm happy with the experience that you have. I see you ready for the job. And the only question I have, we have problems in the election department, not just on the machine. We have problems in the department. And like you say, that you like to have somebody to help you out if the machine or the worker or anything else, you're ready to work on it. How you need to be training. I understand that you need to be training to get involved with the election department. That's the major concern I have, that I would like you, if you get the job, to get training and do your best work on the election department.
Yeah, if the training is there, I'm willing to take it. I'm not afraid to learn. I love to learn. I think that's what's gotten me as far as I gotten in life. I think every day we're learning things, and if training for this position, and specifically election related training, is going to help me excel in that position, then by all means, I'm open to the idea of training.
One more question.
Mr. Gonzalez, thank you, sir, for that question.
Thank you. I'm all set. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. So, Ms. Hernandez, again, thank you for being with us this evening. I'm going to jump off of Mr. Gonzalez's line of question. The elections division, the city of 80 to 85,000, depending on where you look at that data source. We have a lot of voters, and last time I checked, we had 24 wards. I'm not sure how many distinct locations, but there's a lot to it. You will be the chief elections authority in the city. Do you feel up for the task? And do you are you comfortable with learning the Mass General laws that apply and all that applies to running an election? And it's a year-round process, as I mentioned. Do you feel comfortable? And talk to me a little bit about your comfort with being the chief elections officer in Lawrence.
I feel absolutely comfortable. I think a lot of this has to do with me defining where I want to go in life. One of the things that I want to explore later in life is furthering my education around law and government. I think this would be a great experience to get me there. I want to be able to work more around the policy type of work. And so being a servant of this community would definitely, especially through the election process, will definitely get me on track to where I want to be in the next 10 years. Whether it's continuing to serve in the community of Lawrence, or, I feel also that this position would give me the opportunity to put a lot of my skill sets. I'm sorry, things keep moving so I'm like trying to follow Mr. Did he log off? Oh, he's right there, Dave, sorry. Technology, gotta love it. I believe that this opportunity, I'm ready for it. I have the skill sets to mobilize the community. I know election season is always a challenge. I've done the outreach in the community in the past as part of my experience. I've done the door knocking, the grassroots. I have a background since I can remember, since high school. Getting people to mobilize is something that I'm really good at. I think as being in this position will help me help the community achieve greater results around election. I know that the numbers are the people that come out to vote, the numbers are usually low. There are ways that we can really get other segments of the population out to the voting registrations. And I have strategies that I want to bring out to the table on how we can create that movement and get this happening. We have a lot of voters out there who have lost their confidence in voting. And one of the ways that we can engage voters is, through building that confidence, through education, through more intentional, marketing information. And there are things that we can explore further as the years that I will serve on this in this position will take me there to bring up those numbers. I know that right now, one of the things that you guys are also interviewing for is a census clerk. How can we get that position to really, get us the statistics that we need in order to get the right segment of voters out to the voting booths. We have the capacity of doing these things. I think we need someone that's intentional, and I believe I'm that person.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you very much. Your resume, your body of work, what you've done in your lifetime professionally, what do you feel on your resume that I'm holding, but you can't see it because of the virtual background? What is your strength, your greatest strength, that will make you the right candidate to be the next city clerk for the city of Lawrence? What is your strength? What do you bring that makes you the person we should consider to be the next city clerk?
If I was to, first, I am a daughter of Lawrence. I am the product of this community. I know what are some of the real needs of the community for the years that I have dedicated to being a frontline worker. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a planner. I like to strategize. And I also understand the culture in the community. And having the ability to strategize and problem solve. So as you can see in my resume, I have, and the resume is only a snapshot of what I really do bring to the table. There's only so much you can put on paper. But I'm always assessing opportunities where there are gaps. I try to create bridges. This pandemic in this current year has been an example of where I really had to think outside the box to align my team, not to just stay mentally afloat, but also create some sort of impact in the lives of those community members that are coming across our tables or our virtual tables asking for some sort of assistance. But prior to that, I was the foreclosure prevention counselor. So helping homeowners and assisting them and staying within their homes. One of the things that excite me about this position is the idea that I will be working with public records, right? I believe that the community needs more education about how important it is to understand what's within public records. I had the opportunity to work with the Attorney General's office and help homeowners preserve their homes because we had individuals within the community utilizing the public record system to defraud them out of their homes. So because I have an understanding of what the need is on the ground and also have the skill sets to critically work around these needs and create strategical plans that create the bridges that we need. I honestly believe I would be the right candidate for this. Paper wouldn't quantify the kind of experience that I bring to this table.
Thank you. You essentially answered what's going to be my next question, probably. And as a closing comment, I put my question in the form of allowing you a closing comment is to tell us why it is you should be the next city clerk. And I think you spoke well of your intangibles and what doesn't show up on the resume. So if you'd like to add anything more, I would suggest this is your closing comment.
I just want to add that I understand this community because I feel with this community. So I understand the role of the city clerk is crucial. It's the connection between people and government. And I want to make sure that the trust is gained back in the community so they can have more trust in government. And I understand the importance of being that channel of communication between the two parties. I'm just really excited about this opportunity, despite where it goes after tonight. I hope you guys pick the best candidate, but I truly do believe it's me.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Appreciate that thoughtful answer. And again, want to thank you on all of our behalf here to Mr. Bonet and his team and all of my colleagues on this call. Thank you for being part of this process.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And now certainly not least rather, Mr. Azu, thank you for hanging in there. You are penalized only by the fact that your first name begins with the initial much later than the two ladies. With that, I would ask you to introduce yourself to us. And my first question is why do you want to be the next city clerk for the city of Lawrence? And what makes you the person we should choose?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Abdu. I want to thank certainly the Personnel Committee. And I really do have to thank Ms. Ruiz and Ms. Hernandez having gone first. The answer to all of my questions are everything that they said. How about that? So I do appreciate that. I had the opportunity, but it wasn't an advantage because, wow, I knew this would happen. There would be such fantastic candidates for the position, making your job so difficult. If my feed gets cut off, you people will choose a really fantastic candidate. Of course, I have great interest in this position because in my career, I've always considered myself a teacher, a counselor. I also really, really enjoy and have had experience in bridging a gap between the common person, the public, and even though it's very serious and very important, the government, well, it really is run for these simple, lone individuals, regardless of their position or status or knowledge or language. It's really, you can be lost in the waters of the importance and the pomp and circumstance and seriousness of government and the needs of specific individuals. Working in the court system, working as an attorney, I've always prided myself on not just working as an attorney and representing someone, but instead counseling them. A great mentor of mine said, we are a counselor at law. You teach people the rules. You help them make the right decisions. And I see the clerk's office as a wonderful opportunity, a counter that should figuratively and literally welcome the public to say, we're here for you and we're bridging a gap, and there's nothing too serious or too important in here that you can't be a part of.
Thank you, Mr. Azu. And as has been my practice this evening, I will immediately turn after my question to our Council Vice President, Mrs. Della Reyes. Council Reyes, the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Azu, and welcome and thank you for applying for this position.
Thank you. Good evening.
My first question to you, what factors do you consider when preparing meeting agenda and packets of information? Share any experience in which your agenda or packets were effective.
Well, I'd like to say I'm very organized. In all my legal representation, you get a lot of information, and organization is very key. So I can't undermine the importance of a specific agenda, a written agenda, because you start writing things out and then you realize you filled 3 pages and you may not get things done. So you have to identify what the issues are going to be. I had to one extent, I had a colleague who used to walk into a meeting, and if there were more than 3 people, he would leave, being concerned that we're not going to accomplish too much. Let's stay focused. There is focus involved. Then there is information that needs to be addressed at the meeting, needs to be
¿Dónde tú
resolved.
estás con él?
Sorry?
Apologies.
Certainly, there's information that needs to be addressed and resolved specifically at the meeting. That's why we are gathering. But by the same token, there's information that I've provided extra data for you for further review. But I always worry that here's the meeting, and then here is 4 inches of paper, and people might miss the opportunity to review that in these decisions. So I really think organization is very key, and it might sound simplistic, but having a written agenda, identifying the issues to be resolved or addressed, staying focused on the tasks at hand. And then certainly there are aspects of it that are open forum, free thoughts, suggestions, things to that effect.
Thank you. Next question. What is the key to succeed when communicating with the public?
Well, I'd like to say I am very empathetic. And this attribute is something where you can understand and put yourself in someone else's shoes. I'd like to take a lot of credit and training and experience for that, but I give that credit to my mom. And she taught me, know what it feels like and put yourself in their position. And even though I have a lot of experience and a lot of education, applying for unemployment, it became a brand new venture, and feeling hopeless and helpless and before a bureaucracy, or my very first case with the disability board. And this poor woman was just told no, and I have to find an answer. And how do you say no, but I think you're incorrect? And how do you be civil about it? And how do you learn where to make demands versus convince, and things to that effect?
Thank you. Can you share an example when you effectively prepare ordinance for record or distribution purpose?
Well, not to steal the thunder of Ms. Hernandez, but I also worked for a HUD housing counseling agency. And though I was the staff attorney and defended foreclosure and homelessness, I also taught first-time homebuyer classes. In my practice for my whole career, I'd always hold classes for tenants and most especially for landlords. I can't say enough about a landlord who has the rules in place and does things properly and fairly. I too have a significant background in housing, but a lot of my work does involve in some respect, speaking to a jury, letting them know information, teaching them a topic, and then convincing them to agree with me. So I'd like to say that's my experience and knowledge and training is to disseminate this information. I remember my first week in law school, they'd say, okay, you're going to tell a story to the jury, get your remarks prepared, and then tell them to who you're living with, your roommate, your parents. And if they start asking you 15 or 20 questions, well, you are not being very clear. And ideally, you want to communicate it, and they're done with, wow, interesting. That's not fair. Starting to draw their own conclusions. So that's something I appreciate, I enjoy, and I look forward to.
So since election has been the main topic, how will you go about ensuring that the city is complying with all the election laws, regulations, standard that were applicable to your department or the city?
Well, it's obvious I am an attorney and I'm very experienced with reading laws, or like the term we use, deciphering laws. No disrespect to the council, but deciphering the laws and applying them to real life circumstances. But I do recognize, certainly in my other two candidates, the experience and the hands-on association with it, which I don't have election experience, but I bring to the table. I've been an auditor. In my litigation practice, my duty is to decipher all the facts, become in essence an expert on the topic, and then try to convince people that our way is the correct way. So my first step would be a personal full-scale operational audit of the election process. I am not going to recreate the wheel. I know I already see experts in the process, people with knowledge, and not only that, even better, opinions on what things have gone wrong, which things need the most attention. I think it's pretty obvious. Answers may be very clear, but resolutions can be tough. There isn't a bad guy. There are budget issues. Everyone knows we should have online access. We should have the use of an ATM card or debit card. But you could run into budget problems. I'm wondering, why can't you pick up the phone? I know 3 guys who sell those machines. They rent them out. We'll convince them to give a good deal to the city because everyone would love that idea. But it's not that clear. There could be budget considerations. And I'd like to say my effort in my litigation practice is not just going to a trial. It's resolving matters, solving problems as inexpensively, as organized within our means, within our capabilities, resolving issues and problems. I wonder if someone comes to the counter and they're worried or behind or facing a deadline and all they have is cash on them. I think, oh, I wonder, my first question will be, well, do I have the power to give them 2 extra weeks to help accommodate them to come back? Or are my hands tied? And do you send someone away obviously concerned? Wait a minute, I came in to resolve this. Now I have to go and get cash instead, and now I'm going to be late. And that's where you create dysfunction and people dismayed with the system.
Thank you. No more question for me. I'm just going to pass the floor to my colleague.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Reyes. And as is our practice this evening, we will move on to Councilor Dela Cruz, my colleague from Prospect Hill. Councilor Dela Cruz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Azu, for being with us tonight. It's a great opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Very kind.
My first question will be, are you willing to take the lowest salary and get a 2% increment yearly after you reach the maximum of 3 years? Are you willing to do that?
I am 100%. It is not a question or a concern of mine. I've never been even though I am an attorney and there is people associate wealth with it. I pride myself on helping people. My jobs have been working with low-income individuals, a lot of pro bono work, and I just enjoy teaching people or assisting people. I don't want to say money isn't an issue, but it is not of concern, and I have more pressing concerns about things that attract me to this position.
My second question is, are you willing to move and sacrifice your family to move to the Lawrence?
100%. I currently rent a place. I'm right down the road in Methuen. I've been here for several years. I almost feel like I'm a part of Lawrence. My dearest friend is an ambassador there, and his offices are there. The Lawrence Courthouse has been my favorite since the beginning of my career, which I'm very young, so it was very recently. It's named after a mentor of mine who taught me in school. So I look forward to that notion. And I have people searching already apartment opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you ready to upgrade that office and to thinking with the second mind that it must be handicap accessible? It worries me that the counter is too tall. I'm a short lady. When I go there, I don't think people can see me. But I put myself in the place of somebody in a wheelchair, and that person will be able to communicate because it's no accessibility for somebody in a wheelchair to communicate or to ask independently of what that person might need.
Well, it's interesting. I worked as a lawyer for the day once at a probate court, and there was a situation like that. And the clerk was really wonderful. And she said, well, we have a come around the counter policy. And I thought that was such a wonderful way to put it. And I do appreciate the fact that tall counters are just a stereotypical message to the public that we don't want to be bothered. So the first thing I can imagine when I heard this is, oh, it must be a budgetary concern because contractors are making big money these days putting in a new, a smaller counter. But certainly that would be a primary concern, is accessibility to the public, which I certainly feel we could accomplish before we lower the counters. And a little note or please feel welcome. That's something that I'd like to bring to the office. I recognize other candidates have significant experience, really, really very close experience. And I wonder if my fresh perspective would be, in and of itself, a fresh approach, not just to the physical appearance, but to the intangible appearance of the office.
It also make me think that if we get the city hall full of water, thanks God, God bless us, because it never happened. It worries me that we can lose some of the documents that has been saved. I understand that it takes a lot of time to transfer those records, but are you willing to bring knowledgeable people to upgrade the system?
Well, I imagine a personal internal audit, operational audit of all systems and all processes and procedures, certainly coming through with updated policies and procedures, and then priorities. I can't imagine many things higher than the preservation of various documents. And that would come from a review of the specific laws. Make sure that by law, we are prioritizing preservation, which aside from elections appears to be the primary goal of the civil clerk. And it'd be a shame to discover that only when a man-made disaster comes along and everyone just blames the disaster. when, as you're pointing out, there is some knowledge of a potential issue. So
Technology, we need to use technology for not only to pay, but to save those records. My last question is, as you know, election day, machines get broken. How are you going to build that relationship with Mr. Galvin's office?
Well, I think I have a lot of experience with facing a bureaucracy, whether it's an administrative body, whether it's opposing counsel, whether it's a judge, whether it's an angry landlord. I've worked, the notion of, I understand, number one, accountability, and I know how to hold people accountable properly, but then there is the soft touch. I find my general approach to things to be the carrot versus the stick. And not to steal the thunder of both of my colleagues, creating relationships. They know exactly what you're doing there. I'm going to have a very clear understanding of what questions I'm asking are favors and which ones are, as I said, holding things and organizations accountable. I take great pride in that, which is something I will bring to the office. Not to undermine the great efforts of everyone in the system, but we have to cater to our public, make sure they feel comfortable with it. And if there's an issue, I will speak to whoever's at fault. But I don't want to sound like I'll be yelling into a phone, which is a total breakdown of communication. But first and foremost, you come to understand, when are you asking a favor and when are you simply holding someone accountable? But this is certainly an issue not to be addressed on election day. I hope that wouldn't be the issue. We'll anticipate that. I have audit experience with risk management. Everything from what if we misplace money? Our money gets security issues, especially with online security issues, right down to what if there's a huge fire at the corporation? Can everyone come to work on Monday and function?
Yeah, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you too as well. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Councilor De La Cruz. Councilor Gonzalez, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mr. Asu.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gonzalez?
Good evening.
Good evening to you, sir. How are you?
How are you, sir?
Very good.
Well, I have your curriculum in front of me, and the question that my colleague's been asking you, I feel that I'm not going to say all the respect that the three candidates, but you're very qualified for the job, and I have professional. You have all the experience, and you're qualified for the job, and then I will. Well, we'll see. Can I ask you another question? Because I know you have experience, you have everything here in the curriculum, and I just wish you the best luck, and I hope you're the one that we pick up for the job, sir.
I thank you
for all the answers. Thank you, sir.
Very much for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Azu, we've asked, questions about the elections division, and I'm going to get straight to it. Why should you be the chief elections officer for the city of Lawrence, and what skills make you the best candidate to be the chief elections officer for Lawrence?
Well, I think I bring two things to the table. Sadly enough, people complain that lawyers talk out of both sides of their mouth, but maybe I could convince you this is okay. I have the professionalism to address the executive side of things, the serious side of things, the formalities and the rules and regulations. But I do feel that my life experience, working with pro se individuals, teaching the law, working with low income defendants and plaintiffs. I have an empathy, an understanding, a welcoming personality and tone. I hope I've been able to emit that. More than anything, I like working with people and speaking with people. My undergraduate background was in auditing, and my job was to review people's jobs and empower even the lowest individual to tell me what they liked about their job and what they didn't like about it, and then have the ability to communicate this to a board of directors and convince them to divert their funding. I always use the term bridging a gap between the people we're serving and the people doing that task. It seems very obvious, but as you can see, as Ms. Dela Cruz pointed out, somebody built a counter that sent a message to the people that we're busy here right now. I like the idea of helping people. I know it sounds cliche, but I went to law school several years after working as an accountant, and I went there because I wanted to help people. And my specialty was general practice, because my colleagues know that someone might not have a huge retainer, but they have a problem. And my specialty is resolving the problem and not just saying we're going to trial and it's $200 an hour and scaring people from this system. In essence, showing them that the legal system is working for them, or should be, and they shouldn't be afraid of it.
Thank you, sir. Your resume, you've spoken about it quite a bit tonight. What in that resume is the strength that will provide you the skill set to make you the best city clerk, the organizer of the city records, the keeper of all the permits and licenses issued? What makes you the candidate on your resume? What's your strength?
Well, it sounds cliched, and I'm an old man, even though I'm very young, but I can't say enough about experience. And I see friends and colleagues, God bless them, that they'll say they're the expert on X and Y, and I say, how old are you? Okay, move it aside. Just the people I've spoken to, the experiences I've had, someone crying over a credit card bill or losing their home, and then someone being overjoyed because they don't care about their home, they cared about their child in high school and the stigma of being foreclosed on. Understanding the human psyche and what drives them. I might be a lawyer, and that sounds like a lofty position, but I always prided myself on understanding, why is someone doing this? Why is the tenant not paying? Are they just bad people, or did they run into trouble? I've run into trouble, whether I'm an attorney or not. I've applied for unemployment. I've worked for a nonprofit. As I said, I dedicate myself to, I get upset when a colleague says, I need this much of a retainer, and I review a problem and I can fix it with a phone call. I had lost faith a little in some aspects of the system. But I really can't say enough about the day-to-day experience, seeing people triumph, seeing people fail, facing great disability and difficulty. I can't say enough about having lost my big sister to cancer many years ago. I became so much wiser and so much more in touch with the human individual. I hope to apply that to the position and make it a true bridge between the public and the committees.
Thank you for that thoughtful answer, Mr. Azu. Appreciate it. And as you noted twice before, this is your opportunity to provide a closing comments as to tell us, the whole package, why you should be the next city clerk.
Thank you kindly. I just want to thank everyone for the time involved, not just in this evening alone, but the efforts up to this point. I know it's been a daunting task. I have personal experience that, or even if I'm not chosen, you have a very difficult decision ahead with just the other two candidates. I thank them for having gone before me and given me all the answers and made my effort much simpler. And again, honored, very honored to even be considered for such a wonderful opportunity and to be sitting with people of such incredible caliber. I thank you all. It's been an honor.
Mr. Azu, thank you. Thank you for putting yourself forward to make yourself a candidate for this position. And to the three of you that are here this evening, we appreciate your time. This is a critically important position to the city. City clerk organizes the city records, is the record keeper, is responsible to be the front porch to the city, if you will. And also, as many of us have noted on these questions, you're the chief elections officer. So we appreciate you putting yourself forward, answering these questions, not only this evening, but in the preceding weeks. And at this point, I will allow, if there are any follow-up questions by candidates, by colleagues, if they need clarification on any answers that they may have asked candidates that they've thought about. This would be a good time if you needed any clarification on any answers. And seeing none at this time, what I would suggest we do is take approximately, it's 8:37. I would suggest maybe we take a recess at this moment and we return and begin discussion on next steps at 8:45 p.m.
Yes,
So is that a motion, Mr. Gonzalez?
motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Dela Cruz, that we recess at this time until 8:45, at which time we will return to begin discussions. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Halloran, if you would, please take the roll.
A roll call for recess at 8:38 p.m. Counselor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Counselor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Estela Reyes,
Yes.
and Chairman David Abdu.
And the chair votes yes. So we are recessed for the next 7 minutes, and we will see you shortly. Thank you. When everyone is ready to go, if you would just turn the cameras on, and that's how we'll judge. The candidates are all ready. Just wait on Councilor Reyes. Maria, are you all set? So we'll wait on the clerk, the committee clerk, and we'll wait on Councilor Reyes.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, I thought you meant Councilor De La Cruz.
Ah, good point, good point. All right, I'll entertain a motion to come out of recess.
Motion.
Motion to come out of recess. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Clerk Halloran, if you would take the roll, please.
A roll call to come out of recess at 8:54. Councilor Estela Reyes.
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilor Maria De La Cruz.
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
The chair votes yes, 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so councilors, we've had the opportunity to meet with 3 candidates, and at this time, as previously discussed, I open the floor for discussion, motions.
Okay. Counselor,
Yes.
or I make a motion, I just want to explain something that if you all 3 are agree with, then I can convert as a motion. So since we all know that we have at least 6 more that has filed an application waiting for an interview, we can put the 3 candidates, very good ones, all the 3, very qualified, on the side, and just to make another round of interview.
Is that a motion or is that a discussion?
It's a discussion.
Council Vice Chair.
Yes.
I think if we continue to delay the process, then it's getting election changes are coming very soon. And I don't think we're going to be prepared for election day, even though that it seems to be that it's a long way to go. The person that takes this position, that person will have to go to Boston a lot. Then I will make a suggestion that we send to the full council today. And, you know, if from there doesn't pass, then we can go back to take 3 more. But if we continue to delay the process, it's going to be delayed.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. May I?
Madam Vice President.
Yes. The reason that I say that is because I know that we all has been reached out for others candidates that they would like to have an opportunity to be interviewed. So, but this is a team effort. This is a co-work. This is not something that I can make a decision and make things happen the way I feel and I think it should be. So, yeah.
No, I was going to wait for you and then ask Mr. Bonet for a follow-up.
Yes.
After you, Counselor, and then my question, Counselor Gonzalez, I'll recognize you next. Are you all set, Counselor?
Yes,
Did you complete your
yes,
thought? Mr. Bonet, are you back with us, sir?
I am.
Counselor Reyes has, she could speak for herself, she's here, but she has suggested that you stated when we opened that this remains, this job, the resumes will be received until the job is filled. Counselor Reyes has raised the idea of interviewing one or remaining candidates. Counselor Reyes, can you clarify for me, please?
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Bonet, or Director Bonet, since that I know there is more candidate that has been reached out that they would like to be interviewed, at this point, do you think is something that we can put the 3 candidates that we just interviewed, since they has been the finalist, and just to have another round of 3 more that you can send the name down and have another second interview?
I believe that the most that we've received since the last round of applicants has been only 2. So we have 2 new applications. The posting is until filled. So that means that individuals can continue to apply. We could backfill the position where the gentleman withdrew, if that's what the council wishes. I think it was Mr. Adrian Velasquez was one of the councils that was going to be interviewed, and he withdrew at the last minute. That's why you have his resume in the packet, and he wasn't part of it. However the personnel committee wants me to do, I can always try. I can interview. I can't promise you that he or she will be sent down. I can only promise you that I can do the initial interview just as we have done the candidates that are before you, and see if those individuals are just as qualified and interview well. But there can be no promise, because I mean, I have not reviewed those 2 candidates. I just see the numbers updating as people apply on the system. So it's just, I know there's 2 more from the 283 that we had the last time. There's 285 now, so I can see the numbers. So I haven't reviewed anything, but that would be ensuring that I get, the initial interviewing committee of myself, Raquel, and Maria together and interview either tomorrow or Wednesday morning before the next committee meeting, because we don't want to delay any further, because I think somebody is doing some work at the city clerk's office that is from a different department, and I think they've only allowed us up to April 1st, because I think that person was doing work since before December, and is getting overburdened, family and stuff like that. So we promised her to April 1st, so we have to at least ensure that our selection doesn't get delayed because we insert anybody new into the process. But we certainly could backfill that person that did not follow through. Yeah, just so that way we can have the 4 candidates as was presented.
We were for everyone here and those at home, there were 4 candidates sent down, a 4th withdrew. And as Council Reyes just pointed out, there has been more applicants since. And furthermore, we do have an advertised meeting for Wednesday evening to continue Personnel Committee business if necessary this week. And so if that meeting should occur, that would be at 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. At this time, it all depends on what you all do here. And I cannot make motions.
And also, just as a point of information, so depending on what motion and what vote carries on tonight about any further interviewing potential candidates, then I think that the final ranking order vote should wait probably until those candidates, if they are interviewed, are interviewed.
I would agree with you, Mr. Bonet. I would agree with you.
Chair, Mr. Abdu.
Councilor Dela Cruz.
Yes,
then-
Mr. Bonet, my recommendation was that due to the fact that we have election coming, we need to make a decision as soon as possible. I understand that we're going to, Ms. Reyes want to interview 2 more candidates. That will delay the process as much as possible.
So,
I think we're choosing people that we wanted to send to the full council tonight. And then, because we had to run on making this decision. We want to make a good decision. But if we keep delaying the process, election is going to be here, and that person won't be able to get ready with the office in Boston. That's my biggest concern, that they don't get to communicate and that they have to be rushing for election day.
Yeah.
It seems to be far away, but it's not that far. Then I would like to see that if we decide tonight that our vote is going to go to the full council as soon as possible. Otherwise, going back to wait for people to make a schedule to come for interview, sometimes we're wasting a lot of time and they don't even.
So I got some update on that. Actually, I think we had discussed at the initial interview committee, some candidates had asked us those questions about when would be the deadline to move into the city, seeing that the posting required a residency. Everyone except for Erica at this moment is outside of the city. So, you know, it would be easy for Erica to jump in because she's a Lawrence resident. However, this, and it seemed that we were looking at an August 15 date because that's the date that that's the date that the city clerk, ex official of the board of registrar, would have to present to the board of registrar the candidates that have submitted signatures to get on their ballots, and there needed to be a vote in order to get those names on the ballot. However, this morning I received communication from the city attorney that particularly that is not a deal breaker, that the residency requirement of Lawrence is not a deal breaker, and that the council can at any time vote to take that residency requirement out. We thought it was because the way that it's written as a board member and a registered voter, but I will leave the legal explanations to City Attorney Ruano, to the council, or to the Personnel Committee. But if any of the other candidates make it down, we would have to look at also, if the council is not going to vote out the residency requirement, then that means that, the vote has to be made quickly. The person has to start working at the city clerk's office and with elections very, very quickly, and then at least be in the city living and registered by August 15th. However, if it's not a deal breaker and it can be changed, then the person could start working immediately, and there's no August 15th deadline. They could continue working, through the whole thing. So there's it's all, what happens if this happens, what happens if this occurs. A lot of, I would say it's not up to me. It's up to the council, and right now it's up to the personnel committee to see what they want me to do. I work for the personnel committee. I'm the personnel director, and I'm in the service of the city council.
Well, Mr. Benet, we thank you for your guidance thus far and your organization. Thank you. So, councilors, I've heard from Councilor Reyes with respect to yes, Councilor Gonzalez.
Been waiting, sir. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
sir. Sorry.
After you, sir.
Yeah, I'm the same way. We can't delay this. We need to move forward. And I don't support, the law, but the two candidates, they say they will move to Lawrence. and then we need to support that for the job for the Laurentians. And well, Mr. Bonet mentioned it, they can bypass the rules not to leave in Lawrence, but I don't like that. But we don't have to delay tonight. We can send the candidate tonight to the full council because we need to do that because election coming up. We need to send it. We can't delay it. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. And as we continue this discussion, I am open to motions. So if there's anyone that feels strongly about something, I'll take that motion. And otherwise,
I'll make a motion to send it to the full council tonight.
Motion.
Motion.
there's a motion by Mr. Gonzalez to send all.
Well, we had to make the decision which one go. How are we going to select the 2, 3, 1?
So your motion is simply that we send something forward tonight. So your first step is basically locking us into tonight, right? So I have a motion from Councilor Gonzalez that we move forward this evening and send a recommendation to the council for next Tuesday. Is there a second?
Second.
The second by Councilor De La Cruz. Is there any discussion?
It should be another motion, Vice Chair, Council Vice Chair. It should be another motion after that one. The motion now is just to send it to the council tonight. Then we need to make a second motion
Yes.
to
Yes.
decide what do we want to do, 1, 2, or 3? What do we want to do?
Yes. So
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez's motion, simply stated, is to commit us to that discussion this evening to get to next Tuesday.
And I second the motion for that.
Very good. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roll call, please, Clerk Halloran.
Roll call to send to commit personal committee to send it to the full council.
To send
Councilor
yes.
Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
Chair votes yes. Okay, so we're sending these 3 candidates by your motion and the vote we just took. You're sending 3 names forward. Mr. Velasquez obviously dropped off. These 3 will be the ones sent to the full council. My recommendation, based on your comments, is that you have 3 candidates here this evening. There's 4 counselors. That the counselors provide their recommended candidate, and that would be a way to rank, or you can send them up unranked. If you send them up unranked, I'm not sure what value the council has from this committee, but I will follow your lead.
I will make a motion to send the 3 candidates to the full council with favor recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilor De La Cruz, is second by Mr. Gonzalez. So discussion, I'll lead discussion. So Councilor De La Cruz, are you sending them up unranked, or is that a further motion you'll be making down the road?
I think at the council level, it's going to be more help to decide which one of the 3 candidates we can send, we can pick.
Okay.
Then otherwise, I would like to hear any more comments from my colleagues if we send 2 tonight. I already put a motion to send 3. But yes, I'm willing to work that out because I understand that we need to make good decisions as soon as possible.
Councilor Reyes.
If we decided to go that avenue, I would like to see the 3 names go up with committee report then we can make the final recommendation if we're not gonna score or evaluate it then, because we all were able to interview and be able to see and listen that they all three are qualified for the job. So I think it's only fair just to send the three name with favorite recommendation.
That was my motion at the beginning.
Very good. Is there any further discussion?
Motion, Ms. Councilor Reyes.
The motion is to send the three name. That's your motion, right? And I second the motion.
Okay, so there's a motion by Councilor De La Cruz. It's been properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Gonzalez.
I say, no, I support the three candidates because that was 9 councilors will make the decision because the 3 candidates, they are good. And the 9 councilors, I will put the motion in full council who I want. I'm not gonna pick one tonight.
But Councilor De La Cruz has already done that.
No, I'm not gonna pick one tonight. I'm in a full council. I'll make the motion to pick the one I think they're gonna do the job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. Clerk Halloran, if you would call the roll, please.
Roll call to send three candidates to the full council
As a committee,
as a committee report.
That is committee.
As a committee report.
Okay, as a committee report.
Favorite recommendation.
Committee report.
No, it's a committee report. Okay, so send the 3 candidates named to the full council as a committee report.
Correct.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
Chair votes yes. So we now have
Thank you.
2 motions that we send up 3 names, and we just we're sending up all 3 as a committee report. So, councilors, is there any further business, any further motions, discussion? And I would also raise the fact that we have a meeting scheduled for Wednesday night. Do we cancel that? If so, I would recommend a vote this evening, and that way the clerk can post the necessary cancellation tomorrow, or we hold the meeting.
If we're not gonna,
Councilor Reyes?
if we're not gonna have any more interview, when we already sent them the 3 candidates as a committee report, I don't think it's any further action that we need to take with the 3 candidates. So I think we might have to cancel the meeting.
You make a motion, man?
Mr. Gonzalez?
She made a motion? To
No.
cancel?
No.
Discussion.
I make a motion not to meet on Wednesday and to send the 3, we already voted to send the 3 candidates. Then I make a motion to cancel the Wednesday meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made to cancel the scheduled Wednesday evening meeting. It's been properly seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Clerk Halloran, on the roll, please.
A roll call to cancel this coming Wednesday's meeting, already scheduled. Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
Chair votes yes. So
Motion carries.
by virtue of that, I would like to address the 3 candidates this evening. So congratulations. You are all 3 of you are moving on to the next stage, which will be a meeting with the city council in its entirety, all 9 members. It's next Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. The city council, if you're not familiar, the city council meets at 7, but typically there's a public participation, which takes a period of time. I will speak with Madam Vice President, Mr. President, between the meetings and see if we could, make a motion to bring this item to the front of the agenda. I do believe it's going to be a longer discussion. They will, I don't know honestly what the format will look like, but I would anticipate, if I were the three of you, more questions from 9 individuals or up to 9 individuals, and be prepared for maybe a continuation of tonight with 9 counselors. This video will be made available to them so they can obviously do their homework as to what was said this evening and go from there. So with that, do you have questions? Ms. Hernandez, Mr. Azu, Ms. Ruiz?
No questions for me.
Well, I want to conclude this agenda item then by thanking you and just saying until next time, we'll see you next Tuesday night. Board meeting starts at 7 o'clock, and once again, it's here by Zoom. And I see Mr. Bonet flagging me. So, Mr. Bonet, sir.
I just want to say that I will follow up with each candidate and send them the Zoom link for the city council once I received it from the acting city clerk. So that way, the same format that you received the one for the personnel, I'll send it to you so that way you won't have to search for it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, candidates. We'll see you next Tuesday evening. Colleagues, I would draw your attention back to the first scheduled agenda item, which I chose to pass over because the candidate wasn't here. What would you, oh, actually, we have to, so 4421, the vote's already been taken, so we don't need to take another vote on it. It moves back to the council as a committee report, correct? So that leaves,
For what document?
say again, Maria?
I'm sorry, for what document? Is that 4421?
No, I'm sorry. I'm jumping all over the place and I've done it more than once tonight. 1021, the table matter we just dealt with.
Yeah.
We've already taken a final disposition by sending that to the full council. So that moves us back to new business item 4421. The appointment of Mr. Adelso Mendez as an associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It was sent down to us according to our agenda on February 26th, which means it requires board action within a certain period of time. And I would ask you how you would like to handle this evening. Would you want to vote on the gentleman in his absence? I see that our president has turned his camera on, and with that, I will turn it over to him as a courtesy to our president. Mr. President, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder to the committee members that we have a 30-day clock ticking, and that this was sent down by Mayor Vasquez, I believe, on March the 5th. If we do not take this matter up on our March 16th meeting, our next full schedule meeting will be the first meeting in April. And if we don't take action within 30 days, then this automatically becomes selected and approved. So the committee should, I'm not recommending what the committee should do, except for the fact that the committee should take some action, because if you don't take any action at all, we're going to probably have to take it out of the committee at the full council level to have some sort of vote, because I don't think that we should be working on just having members on boards being selected by default. And I don't think there's going to be an appetite for a special meeting on this either between the 16th and the first meeting in April. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much.
Council President and Council Chair, I make a motion to the full council without the 30 days for approval. Motion to send to the full council with favorable recommendation and how do you say those words? To eliminate the 30,
Waive.
waive the 30 days.
There's a motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation and waive the 30 days.
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please. Clerk Halloran, roll call, please.
Roll call for document 4421 that was sent to the full council with favorable recommendation to waive the 30 days. Councilor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
And the chair votes no. The vote prevails 3-1, and 4421 goes up with a favorable recommendation. And as a privilege, I would just note the chair voted no. The candidate wasn't represented here either by himself or by the administration. So all I've got is 1 page of material. So very good.
Council President?
Council,
Council Chair.
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you 1 minute to honor women in today. Then you can say whatever you want about us recognizing Women's Day, because we couldn't do it formally before. Then you have a great opportunity to do it now.
I most certainly will. I'll take that, and then I'll let all my colleagues. I am most thankful. The women in my life, and I'll start there. Is the women in my life. First of all, you start with my mom, who gave me life, and my wife Stephanie, who sustains and supports my morale and my life, and my daughter Elizabeth brings such great joy to my life. And these are the 3 women that are closest to me, and my sister Donna, another woman who all my life has done nothing but support me, and I could say this about other men, I could say this about men, but these women are strong women. I'm very proud of my daughter, that she's grown up so much to be like her mother academically, and like her grandmother, who didn't have a distinguished academic career, but was probably one of the finest, strongest women I know. And frankly, I have throughout my professional life, for most of my professional life, my direct superiors have always been women. There's been a couple of exceptions, but I am a better professional because of those women today. I know certainly I can think of one that is probably my biggest weakness in this life is my lack of patience. And she certainly, for the several years, I can't tell you exactly, we worked together, she sharpened that for me, and I'm a better person for it. So I am, and I could all night long tick off the women in my life, and but I am most thankful for my mom, my wife, my daughter, and my sister. They're the closest to me, and I'll close by saying I'm thankful to you all. Maria, you and I have had good discussions, and good times and bad. We've been at a funeral home and had good discussions, and we've been in parades and had good discussions. And Councilor Reyes often keeps me straight. She calls me or she reaches out to me, and she's always been such a great resource to me, and she's helped me understand things in the past that I didn't understand. So again, I don't want to go on all night, and I can, but that's more than my 1 minute. So I'm thankful to you, Councilor De La Cruz and Councilor Reyes. And I wish Selena was still here. She left us, but our relationship has been brief over the last 2 years, but it has been enjoyable as well. But I'm thankful for the women in my life, and I know I'm better for it. So with that,
Chair, I would like to say that I haven't had 2 minutes today to congratulate all the women around the world, my mother, who is not here anymore, my sisters who are my support every day, my good friends that I have all around, But I do wanted to send a message, and that message is that we women are very strong because we respect men as well. We need to respect men because men, for example, my husband made me a wonderful woman every minute of my life because he's always my support. When I cannot harm it, when I cannot do what we call men's job, and I try to do it, my husband is there to give me the support. Then we are women, but we also need to respect men as well. Our young people are going through a lot. Our young men in this city, they're going through a lot because women are using the system to abuse men. We are better women when we respect men. And I will always carry that because my father was a gentleman who always respected me. Then I would like to voice that out very loud because I see a lot of young men going to jail just because women wanted to have control of everything. You become a better woman if you support a man. I'm becoming a better woman because I support my husband, but my husband support me as well. Then, and I love my brothers. They always, make my life more beautiful. But I see a lot of young men suffering in our community and going to jail just because of that. Then women, let's respect men as well. Of course, we demand the respect from men, but we have to give respect first. And thank you.
How many years?
Yes.
How many years?
How many years of married? A lot. A lot. But my husband became my brother because, he is so nice to me all the time that I will never disrespect my husband. I will never push my husband. I will never make anything bad for my husband or my brothers because those men, they has been my strength, my support. I love them so much. But those men are making me a better woman. Then we need to respect it. Don't struggle with a man who is stronger than you. That my mother used to say.
Councilor Reyes, I saw your hand up. Please.
Yes, thank you, Councilor De La Cruz. Well taken your words, but I want to go back to, even though we have made a motion to document 44-21, I also would like to make a motion to request the presence to the candidate at the full council meeting. I don't know if someone has notified him to be present in this meeting, the fact that we was going to be interviewing the city clerk candidate. So motion to send correspondent to Adelso Melende to be present and having interviewing at the city council level, things that we have deadline for passing.
Second, the motion.
I'll entertain that motion and accept the motion in the second by Council De La Cruz. If there's any discussion. And I would just note my previous comments, that was only about the process. So that I look forward to, if the candidate can be there Tuesday night, we can learn a little bit more about the candidate. And if the administration had more information, I look forward to learning more about someone who's looking to give to the city.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Roll call, please.
Roll call to send correspondence to Mr. Adelcio, which is last name Hernandez, to be present at the full council meeting. Councilor Maria De La Cruz,
Yes.
Councilor Stella Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chairman David Abdu.
And the chair votes yes. 4-0.
4-0. Thank you.
And Damaris and Maria, your cameras were off. So I, as I was thanking the women in my life, I thank both of you, especially the last several weeks. Ms. Ruiz, you've filled in the breach of a missing clerk, and greatly appreciate that. And Ms. Halloran, I don't know how many years I've known you, but it's been a long time. And I'm thankful for it, even though you don't turn your camera on.
Thank you.
And I love it. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. with that, there is one other table matter, or we can make a motion to recess. Excuse me, to not recess.
Adjourn.
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 Second,
Who made the motion?
Councilor
Maria.
de la,
Councilor Dela Cruz made a motion to adjourn. I heard Councilor Reyes seconded. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Halloran, one last time, please. Roll call.
Thank you. Roll call for, to adjourn at 8:32 PM. Councilor Stella Reyes,
yes.
Councilor Maria de la Cruz,
Yes.
It's too early.
Councilor Jorge Gonzalez,
Yes.
and Chairman David Abdu.
And the chairman votes yes, if the record is corrected to show that it's 9:33.
9:32, I'm sorry.
And we spring forward on Sunday. All right, folks, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night, and we'll
Good
see
night.
you Tuesday at the full council meeting.
Thank
Thank
you.
Good
Thank you.
good night.
Good night.